Okay, my name's Katie Bower, and this is my senior capstone. Okay, when I began looking for a capstone, I looked at my interests, and my first one that came up was volleyball. And volleyball is something I've always loved, and it's something that I've played since I was in 4th grade. It was the first real community I've ever been a part of. So I thought about doing Emerald Youth, but I wasn't really passionate about Emerald Youth in any way. But another thing volleyball kind of brought me was Young Life, because when I was a freshman, the seniors would take us to Young Life. And so Young Life is something I've always really been a part of. And then that kind of led me to camp, which is Frontier, which is where that's from. And it's like a place where I really grew in my faith. And so that led me to my leader telling me that I should do work crew. And so as I began to do work crew, I obviously had fears and concerns, and going alone was one of them, because there's 40 kids and they're all from across the nation. But that ended up kind of getting like a blessing for me, in that was Grace Warwick got placed at the same place. And so I didn't have to go by myself completely. And another fear of mine was not getting placed at all, and then not having a capstone going into my senior year, because it's unlikely for juniors to get placed because seniors get first pick. And then just my volleyball schedule cooperating with the whole work crew, because preseason is in summer. So that kind of led me to start training, which I messaged my Young Life leader and I asked her when the training started. And she told me that it started in February. So that led me to going to these 4 sessions for 2 hours after school on Tuesdays. And it was basically like a Bible study. And it was teaching us to give our testimonies, which is a big part of camp. And then being placed, the way it works is you send in an application, and then you rank your camps you want to go to. And so 9 camps later, I got an email sitting in Bible on 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave, talking about me getting to go to Carolina Point. So while I was there, I was a server, and I would bus tables, set up tables, clean tables, and clean the whole dining hall, and then do any other odd jobs they needed us to be done, which it was around 60 tables, but there was also other servers. And it was around 60 tables, and so so it was it would take a while to do. And so then a week at camp for campers looks like the first day is welcome, and so all the work crew goes out, and we basically chant for the campers coming in, and we carry their luggage to their rooms, and then they have a scavenger hunt that night. And then the second day they have volleyball and a rodeo night, which we are working behind the scenes the whole time to make sure they have the best time. And then they have a pool day, a Western night, which is the biggest night of camp, and so everyone has to be all hands on deck. And then they have a USA night, and then they have a work crew night, which is where the whole work crew goes in there for a club, and they sing songs, and 2 people share their testimonies, and then all the campers go back to their cabins, and then 2 people to each cabin go to the rooms, and they share their testimony. And so then the next day, the campers leave, but before they leave, they have a say-so, which is basically if they have grown in their faith, they get the chance to say so. And the work throughout the week is extremely hard and excruciating, and it doesn't become worth it until the say-so, or till the first say-so, and then it just becomes completely worth it. And then, so then the first 2 weeks were regular high school camp, which is what CAK goes to. And then the second 2 weeks were Capernaum, which is for special needs kids. And that just required us kind of shifting everything. We had slower meal times, special diets, which is for 300 campers some of them are sugar-free and gluten-free. So it's hard to pinpoint one meal to have. And so you have to go back to the kitchen and get special diets. And then they have different hours. They get up an hour earlier than usual high schoolers, and they go to bed an hour earlier. So it just required us, as a work crew, to completely shift everything we did. My expectations going into this was kind of that it would be a glamorous job, that I would just kind of get to serve the campers and not really have to do that much work. But I was extremely wrong, and it was just a lot of work and more than I'd ever expected, but it was so worth it. My other expectations were to make great friends and that I would get a lot of face time to campers, but What I realized being there was that my point was to point the campers to the Lord in a way of service and not in a way of that I would have a lot of face time with him. As a person, it taught me about my faith. It helped me really realize what an everyday faith is, and that it withstands through emotions, and it doesn't always have to be the most glamorous or happy thing. Friendship, it really showed me that how different a friendship can be when it's rooted in Christ. And then community, it showed me the importance of community and like how you can grow within it. The power of prayer, I remember all of my friends would bring pins to welcome so that they could write down people's names, who they had met and whose luggage they were carrying, so they could pray for them throughout the week. And hard work, it taught me a lot about hard work and how worth it can be when it's contributing to pointing people to the Lord. And then the most important lesson I probably would learn was service, and that how much it points people to the Lord more than you could ever say, because the Lord serves us, and that's just the way he shows us he loves us. And my perception of the project, I grew appreciation for detail and intention, because the detail and intention they put into it is to make the campers feel known and loved, and it just shows you how much like they love you to put in so much detail, or like to make sure how far the plate is from the end of the table and how like much the forks are lined up. And I grew very appreciative for the work crew that served me when I went to camp, because just knowing that someone loved me enough to do the things that they did for me and to pray for me as much as they did just really humbled me. If I could go back, I would definitely appreciate the times with my friends that I had, and like spend more time just being with them and being in the presence of them, and like with our like meal times and just everything. And then I would appreciate being in the community and just having constant access to so many great people. And then I would definitely try to serve the campers a lot better, in that I would have a better attitude on some days. Not that I had a bad attitude, but just it gets very monotonous, and I would appreciate it more. And then what now? I can plan to continue in Young Life. I may become a Young Life leader, or maybe do summer staff, which is like work crew for college people, or even maybe work on staff in the future. And that's my capstone.